Today I want to strictly focus on the Mortal Kombat commercials, only those that included some live action segments and not just simple gameplay trailers. So with that said, let's begin.
Mortal Kombat!
The first commercial was memorable for more than its presentation of bringing a huge crowd of MK fans in the middle of the city streets. I believe this was the moment that created that iconic Mortal Kombat shout. I'm not sure exactly when the commercial was released because the arcade game came out in 1992 and the album to the game, which featured the Mortal Kombat theme song, was released in 1994. So I think it's safe to say that this commercial came up with that Mortal Kombat shout. The extended cut of this commercial featured a radical techno beat featuring some gameplay, fatality examples, and a huge crowd of fans ready to pick up their video game cartridges.
Right now, it costs up to $10 more to play certain games on Super Nintendo than to play the same games on Sega Genesis. Games like Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam, which is fine if you don't mind being sucked dry.
This commercial is mainly targeted towards the Sega Genesis and its many ports, but I'd like to think that it was more targeted towards Mortal Kombat 1 on the Genesis because the MK1 was ported to the SNES and Genesis, and the SNES version did not include blood, whereas the Genesis version did include it but kept it hidden with a secret code that only those who owned the game could discover it. So perhaps this commercial was a hint of the blood code. This is without a doubt the best commercial any Mortal Kombat game has ever received. If only they made more like this. It's always a joy to see a live action commercial based on your favorite video game franchise, because even when we get a movie or movies based on that one game, Hollywood just can't seem to understand what it is that makes a good video game adaptation. Now, commercials such as this one may not include a story or a plot, but what it does pull off are the visuals and the iconic appearances of each combatant. I know Hollywood likes to try and make adjustments and redesign characters to have a similar but slightly different appearance, but the costumes for every character in the movies did not look better than their video game counterparts. Then you look at this commercial and it is easily far greater than what the films gave us for character designs. I mean, how sad is it that a commercial crew took the job more serious than a film studio crew? Even when every ninja character at the time was just the same ninja but with a different color palette, here, they took the time to make Reptile look like he's a reptilian race and not human. Even Mortal Kombat Conquest left Reptile and his race unchanged, giving them that human appearance. But then again, they were trying to connect that series with the movies, so I guess that gets a pass. But this is fantastic. The rest of the ninja characters also contain some differences besides a color palette. Also, I like the fact that they're not wearing long sleeves. For some reason, every live-action movie and series kept giving the ninja characters long black sleeves. I don't know why, seeing as they never wore long sleeves in their game appearances. Even Mortal Kombat Legacy did this, so once again, you gotta give them props for sticking to the source material and delivering with a killer commercial. If only the crew responsible for this commercial were the ones in charge of MK Annihilation, then we wouldn't have seen abominations such as Baraka's hideousness or terrible fight scenes for sure. I could only imagine what they would have done with Shiva, and her appearance, since it too needed some adjustments. This commercial was okay. Not as good as the previous one based on MK2, but that's because we actually got to see some impressive live-action combatants fighting in areas that are in the game. Whereas here, we're just treated to a patient who's got a video game stuck up his intestines, I think. It'd be cool if we hadn't already seen something similar, but way more graphic, that being the first Alien film. I wish they went with something similar to the MK2 commercial, but at least it didn't appear as dull and desperate as the arcade commercial. When I see this commercial, I get the idea that the person in charge of making a commercial for the arcade version of MK3 was only given about 1 to 2 days to come up with something, and the budget given was maybe around 0? Because if you look around, this could have been an empty room that already had these broken down props from a Greek play. So they just rolled the arcade machine in with a dolly and had someone like Doug Walker in charge of recording it all, and these were the results. But then again, you watch the other commercial based on the MK3 arcade game and holy cow! This guy was probably paid by the creator of the previous MK3 commercial to do an even worse job so that his commercial didn't seem that bad. This doesn't explain anything about the game. There's no gameplay footage, no arcade machine, no character reveals, nothing. This could have easily been any game.
Hold on to your eyeballs and get ready to rip into a whole new fist-in-your-face reality as Mortal Kombat 3 bashes its way into the R zone.
Use the backbreaker!
You will meet all your enemies
Brain chop!
in this startling new dimension
They're right in my face!
in the R zone.
Here comes Wolf!
Mortal Kombat 3 lives in the R zone.
Now the R Zone commercial, you can't hate on this commercial because they got pretty creative with it, seeing as they had to make the Tiger Electronics version of MK3 look appealing. And that is a hard job to pull off. This one's not impressive as it only shows us a couple of dogs guarding maybe a junkyard or a towing business. I mean, I get the point of it, but again, it's something anyone could have came up with. And when you realize that, it's not really interesting to see again. And just like the MK3 commercial where the guy is having a bad dream, this could have been any other game.
The root of our evil.
I don't think many MK fans have seen this commercial, since not many people really speak out about it when it comes to the live-action Mortal Kombat video game commercials. But I loved this commercial so much that I actually tried making a parody of it years ago. Here's the video since it's short enough to show it all here.
Ever wanted to play a game where you play as Sub-Zero and only Sub-Zero? Your wish has came true. Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythologies is now here and ready for you to purchase anywhere in Earthrealm. Play through a magical quest in separate realms to collect things for other guys. Kinda like a delivery man, a ninja delivery man. Level up as Sub-Zero to learn the moves you already know from previous Mortal Kombat games. The controls are a challenge to prepare the player for the real threat to come, which is for the next Mortal Kombat game. In the heat of battle, sometimes Sub-Zero will use his freezing instincts to turn around for you automatically. Sometimes. Think like the Lin Kuei, fight like the Lin Kuei. Use the ice moves you remember from the previous Mortal Kombat games to defeat every foe in your way, but only after you've unlocked them. If you hate Scorpion, now's your chance to make it official that Sub-Zero killed Scorpion and Quan Chi did not frame Sub-Zero. Beware of the death traps that are waiting in every corner. It's like Kevin McAllister from Home Alone booby trap everything in your path, but only if you can avoid them all in your first try. Be aware of your surroundings, including the second you die because you might exit the game. Only if you're not Lin quick enough. Own Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythologies now, only $39.99.
The game sure had its flaws, but you can tell that the developers tried. Just like with a live-action commercial. The visuals are neat, and I think they even use the same actors from the game's cutscenes and the digitized actors. But speaking of the cutscenes in the game, they aren't as appealing as the quick visuals we see here. Before I played the game, I wondered if the quick glimpses we got in the commercial would tie in with the game's story and cutscenes, but unfortunately they're not in the game, and it's not as gory as the commercial if you think about it.
The crushing pound of a mallet. The shattering blow of the club. The slashing edge of the blade. They call to you. Mortal Kombat 4. Darkness is calling.
Here's another great live-action commercial that includes characters from the game. We get to see Scorpion, Raiden, Shinnok, and Reptile, but that's good enough for me. The one thing that made me change my mind about Reptile's appearance in MK4 was this commercial. I played the game first before watching this commercial, so when I saw that they gave Reptile a completely different appearance, I wasn't really on board with his new look. He did not resemble a ninja anymore, and I questioned whether it would work if they ever made a movie based on Mortal Kombat 4. But after seeing this commercial, it instantly changed my mind about his appearance. Isn't that amazing when a character's appearance looks a bit mediocre in a game, but when we see that exact design in real life, suddenly it gains my attention and I love it. But aside from that, I like that this commercial shows us more practical effects, great makeup effects for each character. They all look exactly like they do in the game, and they even included giving Scorpion, Raiden, and Shinnok a weapon, which was a new inclusion to the game series, giving each combatant their own weapon. The developers also included this commercial into the PlayStation 1 version, which was a good way of keeping the commercial alive, at least back when YouTube wasn't a thing. This one wasn't really as eye-catching as most of the ones we've seen on this list so far. Once again, I get it, it's kind of like each person is selecting their opponents, or maybe I'm overthinking this because I'm trying to find some sort of symbolism here. Who knows? I'm not really feeling this commercial. It's alright, but I really would have preferred seeing more combatants played by actors in heavy makeup and some practical effects to shine some light on those new characters introduced in the game, such as Nitara, Kenshi, or the Dragon King's army.
Deception is in us all.
This one was a bit Once again, it doesn't really describe the game, it doesn't really get you hyped for the game either. It deserves its own iconic commercial like with the MK2 and Mortal Kombat 4 commercial. And unfortunately, that's about as much as I could say about it.
If you all turn to Appendix B...
Mr. Lim is here.
Mr. Lim?
He's been sent to troubleshoot the sales meeting.
Mr. Lim! Come in! Nick was just going through the sales figures, weren't you, Nick?
Yes. I was just saying that the quarterly sales are up by 12%.
But I see that overall sales for the fiscal year have actually fallen by 4%.
Well, I can actually explain that.
Fight!
Sorry?
You, fight! Finish him! Fatality!
Mr. Lim, has head office had any more thoughts on our bonus structures for this year?
Now this is what I call improvising. I really like this commercial because it represents what Mortal Kombat is all about. Its cheesiness and inclusion of some really graphic violence. They even used real practical effects when it came to pulling off their own fatality. I heard that this commercial was banned, but if that's the case, then I like it even more. I am so glad that we got these commercials because we know now for a fact that NetherRealm will never put out something like this. Because they're very, very respectful to women and they do not discriminate or judge them for their physique and appearance. Even though the women in Mortal Kombat used to be about their sex appeal combined with an eager urge to kill a man. Now I'm not saying that we all need to be horn dogs when it comes to the women in Mortal Kombat.
Just saying those were the days.
But even if the whole whammon power wasn't a thing nowadays, I still like these commercials. We got 3 live action commercials which each centered towards a fan favorite character of the series. Sonya, Melina, and Kitana. There was another commercial that centered towards Kitana and Melina with the same cosplay models. And this one mainly centers towards the online mode featured with the PS Vita. Then there was another commercial for the PS Vita version that centers towards the augmented reality mode that was exclusive for the PS Vita version, and I really enjoyed this one as well. However, the augmented reality mode was not as memorable as the trailer promoted it to be, because you can only use this mode in a sort of training mode, and not in the arcade ladder. It would have been fantastic if it was included with the arcade ladder or the tag team ladder, but it wasn't, and it just became somewhat of a missed opportunity. But the game was still a lot of fun, and plus we already had those commercials promoting the 3 female MK combatants, and I'll never forget those ones, just as NetherRealm Studios did.
This is a man's world. Why'd they send a woman?
That was a clip from a video I made on the long lost and forgotten web series of Mortal Kombat known as Mortal Kombat: The Federation of Martial Arts. Check it out if you haven't seen it. You'll be surprised to see that MK Annihilation was not the worst live action based on Mortal Kombat. But with that said, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, as apparently now it doesn't even matter if you hit the notification button. The like button is the only thing YouTube is permitting us to use as a way to send more traffic to that video. Also, if you'd like a shout out, leave a comment and the best comment will be featured on the next video. If you're a Patreon supporter, check out the exclusive videos on my Patreon. Go support the channel, which is only $1. Sacrifice that McChicken for extra quality content, my friend. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.